So to get the speakers out, what we're going to do is we have to take all these bolts out here. They're real easy. There's a lot of them. So just kind of do it. If you follow the way I'm telling you to do this, it's a little bit easier. We're going to take the lid off first. These are all 6mm Allen bolts, and then the other ones are 10. So we're just going to go and take these out. I already kind of loosened them up here a little bit. And kind of do it in this order. You want to leave the wire here just to kind of help hold stuff while you're doing this. This is basically just going to take off the big hinge that's in there. Take these bolts out. And see, with your wire still on here, it acts as a hand. You can do this. If not, the stuff will be kind of flopping around here. And one thing, if you're going to come back to this in a couple days or whatever, you might want to take a picture of this with your phone. You know, take a picture of the bolts so you can remember which bolts went where. Is that always, if you're like me, when you come back in a few days, you're going to say, man, I don't remember where those bolts went. Okay, now you grab the lid and take out the wire here, that little bolt. Now you're still going to have your wiring hooked up for your brake light and that, so we're just going to kind of set the lid to the side. Okay, so now your lid is free. Just kind of wiggle it out and pull it towards the front of the bike, and just kind of wiggle it out, okay? And then, like I say, you're still connected by your wire, but now you can kind of get that down out of the way. And you can put a towel on your seat, you know, so you don't scratch your bag if you want. You don't really have to because, you know, you're on your seat. But just be careful when you're moving stuff around. You know, it can fall off. So just be careful because it's just kind of held by that wire. Now the next thing is these bolts in the center will take the backrest off. And what we're trying to do is get the speaker grills, the front part, off. And you have to kind of take this stuff apart to get in there to the wiring. So all these bolts back here have to come out. They either hold in the backrest or they hold the speaker grill part in, the cup for the speaker. Okay, there's your backrest. Okay, so that's all those. Now you got to do these ones up here. Okay, now we'll come around to the other side and we'll show you how to do it from that side. Once we get all these out, like I say, there's a million of them. think that's all of them. So now we'll go around to the other side, and I'll show you, kind of move this out of the way here. But right here is the bolt that holds your grill, the grill in itself. Okay, and then that just pops out. Just pull it out. Okay, that gets you into your speaker. Do the same thing on this side. And if you can't get that, just hook your tool in there and just kind of pull it out a little bit. Okay? So that's that. Now, the bolts, the screws, whatever you want to call them, that hold the speaker in, those are Torx head bolts. So you want to make sure, trying to get this lid, you want to make sure you use that. Don't use a Phillips screwdriver on that. A Torx head, and I have it here if you guys ever wonder, some people call it a star head, okay? A Torx head is a special screw. It is not a Phillips. You'll screw up the screw. I want to say you can get it out with a Phillips, but you're going to ruin the screw. So always use the right tool, the Torx head. Okay? So you just take the 4 screws here out. Okay, so your speaker just comes right out, and then just pull the wires, pull the connectors off. They just pull off. They're on there pretty hard. Oh, and that one is stuck on there. Kind of wiggle it. That one's really stuck. Let me get a pair of pliers. There we go. Okay, so that's all you're going to do. You're not going to reuse this, so you can just kind of leave it in there, tuck it in. It actually goes, the other screws for taking this off are actually underneath, so you can kind of pull this and tuck that wire, if you want, back out of the way. Just kind of pull it. Okay, we can tuck that out of the way. Just tuck it down in here, you know, behind the backrest, and you'll be okay. So that's how you get that speaker out. Do the exact same thing on this side. Let me take this trunk lid and set it up here for you. Okay, there, now you can see a little better. And the speakers we have go right in almost. We'll show you what to do on the inside. The magnet on our speakers is much bigger. It's a way more powerful speaker, so it hits in the back. And we'll show you. It's really easy to do if you have a Dremel. It's really easy. We have to cut just a little bit of the bag out, or the trunk out, but it doesn't affect anything at all. So we'll show you. It's easy. Okay, same thing again, pull them off. Or that one pulled off easier. And the same thing, you can just tuck them. I say tuck them out of the way just because when you put the new speaker in, it's big, and like I say, we have to cut a little bit in here. That's what we're cutting. Everybody thinks you have to cut all this. You don't. It's just right in here. You have to cut kind of between these holes and take a little piece out right here, because the magnet, this is the magnet on a stock speaker. It's so small. On our speakers, they're way bigger, and the magnet hits in here. So you just have to cut just a little bit of this out with a Dremel, or, you know, we have an air hacksaw, whatever you want. But that's all it is to getting the speakers out. Now we'll come and we'll show you how to put the new speakers in. So here's the difference in our speakers. Again, the stock with the little magnet and our speaker. So you can see how much bigger the magnet is. That's why when you go to put this in here, okay, it doesn't fit. It just doesn't fit. But what most people don't realize is Victory already hooked us up. Okay? If you look in here, you can see a line. Let me try to get a... You can see a line right here, okay? Part way around here. That's where you want to cut. You want to cut that out kind of right in there. And I'll do it. Now you may have to trim it a couple times, but that'll get you really close. You can use a Dremel, you can use whatever you want. I use an air hacksaw. Okay, this is, you buy this at Harbor Freight. This is a really cheap one. You know, it works good enough for stuff like this. But you just want to get in there and you just want to cut that. See, a good saw right now wouldn't jam up. Harbor Freight does. Okay, now a lot of times this actually is probably loose, but the blade melts it together. When you cut it, the plastic melts back together, so sometimes just kind of pry it. See, it's cut, it's just stuck. There we go. Okay? You can see the little plastic where it melted it. Okay, so that'll get you really close. That's a good start. Okay, so again, you're gonna have to maybe trial and error this a couple times. But you can see we're a lot closer right there. So we're hitting. Now, if you look in the back and you just look inside the trunk, okay, you get that kind of where you want it, which is gonna be right about there. You can see we're hitting right in here a little bit. Now, the reason that is because on our speakers, we have the little filter. So the filter's what's hitting, okay? So if you don't have this filter, if you buy your own speakers, you may or may not have to do that. So that's what's hitting, okay? So we're just gonna cut out a little bit more up here. And we'll just try it again. Okay, now the speaker fits perfect. Okay, so if you go around to the front, you can see It now fits in there flush, everything lines up, you're good to go, okay? So I think as you can see, that took 5 minutes. Now I have the saw. If you have a Dremel, it might take you a little longer. But this isn't rocket science. I see a lot of these guys on the forums telling people you got to cut this and oh my God that and oh my God that. It's not hard. That's all you got to do. So that is what it takes to install one. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And you know kind of where you got to cut. See if you can see on my blade here. That's the melted plastic on the saw blade right there. Okay, so that's kind of the bad thing about this, but really starting to stick. This might be a good blooper moment, but it's sticking because I have the air compressor off and I'm running out of air. So there's your blooper. Okay, so the same thing. Cuts a lot better when the air's on. And if you can tell, I cut a little higher up on here just because we knew now how to do that. I missed a little bit right here. Okay, now this one should be fairly close to going in there. Just look in the back and you'll see what's going on. Okay, that one went right in there, no problem. Now, one thing to also keep in mind, if you look here, this is where your terminals are for your speakers, where the wires plug in. You might want to cut that. It depends. Again, if you have your speaker a different way, the terminals are going to be in a different spot. But we're going to mount these in like this. So we want to make sure we cut out just a little bit more, just to make that easier. Again, you may have to, you may not. Okay, so now you can see, you can get a little bit closer to putting your terminals on your wiring harness on there, so it's a little bit easier. So a lot of you guys wonder, how much trunk space do you lose because of what people say on the forums? You don't lose any. You don't even notice that's in there. We offer the trunk liner kit, the carpeted kit. Just put the carpeted kit in there and it looks perfect. You know, you won't even see this. One thing you don't want to do is cover this off solid. The sound will change drastically. It'll sound much worse. Those holes were the factory holes. They were in there for a reason. It lets the air go for the speaker, okay, and it actually uses this whole trunk space as like a box for the air, okay. So don't cover that off solid, or it'll sound, it just won't sound near as good. I would, like I say, suggest putting our trunk liner in there, and it makes it look nice, and it also covers that over, so you don't catch anything. You know, when you throw your junk in the tour pack, you don't catch anything. But that's all there is to that. Next thing we'll show you is hooking up the wiring harness, but that's all it is to putting in a set of speakers.